In Arizona, where the sun scorches across vast deserts and red cliffs hum with nature's timeless rhythm, shadows exist that few truly notice. Behind the brilliance of endless skies and the rise of growing cities, a silent crisis spreads. Thousands without roofs battling the blazing heat and dust storms that never end. Once familiar streets have turned into uncertain paths. Tents line the edges of parks, families sleep inside worn-out cars, and tired eyes stare at horizons that hold no clear tomorrow. Some parents shiver with fear, knowing that if support programs disappear, their children with special needs might lose the last bit of security left to them. This is not just data, it's the breath and struggle of real people trapped in a fragile system. Will you pause for a moment to see and hear their truth? If these stories move you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Every small action helps keep their voices alive so they aren't lost to silence. The rising wave of homelessness. Arizona, a land of endless skies and glowing red canyons, now faces a change that can't be ignored. Across Phoenix, Tucson, and even smaller towns like Prescott, lines of makeshift tents have appeared, dimming the beauty that once defined this state. According to the Arizona Department of Human Services, in Maricopa County alone, home to nearly 4.5 million residents, more than 7,000 people were reported unhoused at the start of 2025. These aren't just numbers. They are families, veterans, and youth who once had a place to call home, but now sleep beneath open skies. Encanto Park, once known for its 222 acres of green lawns and shimmering lakes, now shares its space with patchwork tents. Along the Santa Cruz River in Tucson, tarps stretch over dusty banks. In Mesa, old cars have become homes. Beyond what meets the eye lies the hidden homelessness. Teens in Chandler sleeping on friends' couches, seniors in Yuma surviving in cheap motels, and families crammed into cars along Route 66 in Flagstaff. How did a state once praised for opportunity let so many slip into the shadows? Among them is Maria, a 32-year-old single mother in Phoenix. When rent climbed beyond her $14 an hour wage, she lost the small apartment that had sheltered her and her 2 kids. Now they live in a tent near Papago Park, where the noise of traffic never fades. Every night, Maria clings to her children's school books, determined to keep them learning. "I never thought I'd be here," she says, her voice steady. "But I'll fight for my kids." This isn't just a housing crisis. It's a reminder that a home means more than walls. It's the foundation of hope. And when that foundation breaks, every dream becomes fragile. Have you ever wondered how quickly one twist of fate could put anyone in the same place? The dream of starting fresh in Arizona has turned into something like a mirage. Rent keeps climbing faster than wages can follow. In Pima County, home to over 1 million people, the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment reached $1,450 in 2024, a 38% jump since 2020. With a minimum wage of $14.35 per hour, more than half of a worker's paycheck disappears into rent. In Glendale, a city of around 250,000, affordable housing makes up less than 10% of all units. How long can regular families keep up before the pressure breaks them? But the struggle goes beyond rent. Young adults aging out of foster care in Mesa, a city of 45,000, often enter adulthood with no one to guide them. In Scottsdale, shelters are filled to capacity and waiting lists stretch for weeks. Caseworkers handle hundreds of cases at once. In Mojave County, which spans over 13,000 square miles, people walk miles just to get a hot meal. How can anyone rebuild their life when the ground keeps shifting beneath them? The problem is most visible in Phoenix, the state's largest city. After a short drop in homelessness in 2024, the numbers began rising again in 25, especially among those without any shelter. Rising rent, strained services, and too few available beds have undone fragile progress, lining the sidewalks once more with tents. In Tucson and South Tucson, city officials enforce stricter rules, banning overnight sleep in parks and clearing camps more frequently. These moves were explained as safety measures, but in practice they stripped away what little refuge people had. When night falls, they must once again search for a safe corner to rest. The question lingers, do these cleanups solve the crisis or just push it out of sight? Families with children who need special care face the harshest reality. Cuts to disability aid leave parents choosing between rent and medicine. One Phoenix family described losing benefits so abruptly that their home, once a safe haven, became a luxury they couldn't afford. Arizona isn't just facing a housing shortage, it's facing an erosion of faith in the future. When living costs explode and safety nets tear, thousands fall into an endless loop with no clear escape. If a home is the base of hope, what's left when that base collapses? When a home is lost, harsh choices appear overnight. In downtown Phoenix, where millions visit the Footprint Center each year, the contrast after dark is jarring. Women and young people trade safety for food or a few hours of quiet. Along the 391-mile stretch of I-10, hidden networks prey on those with nowhere left to go. In 2024, Arizona ranked among the top 10 states for human trafficking cases, many beginning with desperation on the street. When every door is closed, where else can people turn? In Tempe, home to more than 80,000 Arizona State University students, support programs are struggling under tight budgets. Maricopa County has tried diversion programs to replace arrests with counseling, but the resources just aren't enough. In Cochise County, covering more than 6,000 square miles, law enforcement often takes precedence for outreach, deepening the idea that homelessness is a burden rather than a condition. Jamal, a 19-year-old from Tucson, left foster care with only $200 and a backpack. Promises of work vanished, and soon survival meant doing whatever it took to eat. "I just want a chance," he said quietly. Now, with help from a mentor, he's found stable housing and is rebuilding his life. Street Stories Homeless reminds us that the cost of survival isn't only material, it's the slow erosion of dignity. If society could look through the lens of empathy rather than judgment, perhaps a different path would emerge. Community trust under strain. In Mesa, a city of over 500,000, Pioneer Park's 20 acres once echoed with family picnics and children's laughter. Today, that same space carries unease. Residents admit they hesitate to walk there after sunset, not because of crime, but because of tension and uncertainty. A 2024 study by the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission showed public disturbance calls rising by 35% in downtown Phoenix, where homelessness is most visible. Yet behind those numbers are people without safety, not those causing the fear. In Chandler, population 275,000, shelters turn people away at dawn, every bed filled. In Tucson, with more than 500,000 residents, a new outreach team now pairs mental health experts with police officers in Reed Park's 130 acres to diffuse conflict before it escalates. In Yuma, spread across 200 square miles, community forums have started encouraging dialogue rather than division. Public trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild, but honest conversation is a beginning. With understanding, fear can turn into connection instead of distance.